We all know that the Shannon Sharp situation, is pure debauchery. He has stepped down from ESPN. His ex-girlfriend has come out and had a few words.
He was controlling, he was domineering, he was manhandling me beforehand. We met in actually the press room at the Broncos, April of 2002. And but we didn't start talking until we met up at a club at Blue 67 in Denver. I don't know if anyone is listening from Denver, but yeah, we were at a club at the same time. We didn't go together. We just happened to both be there. And so he started talking to me, and he started pursuing me pretty heavily from then on. I resisted for a while because, I was a reporter, and I didn't want to mix the two. But he's very charming. And we dated until the 2010 incident. And then it came to abrupt end because I wanted, we were arguing and he was threatening me and stuff like that after, but I didn't see him again after he raped me.
So what led up to that fight, that 2010 fight that you guys, I know that the argument ensued first before he allegedly raped you?
The argument was about the fact that he had removed one girl from his house and put another girl in his house and didn't tell me. And he had asked me to break up with my husband at the time. We were just dating, so I was dating Shannon and my husband at the same time. Shannon asked me to break up with my husband, and I don't recall for sure, but I think I did. And so, it's like, wait a minute, you want me to be with just you, but you want to move somebody into your house and not even tell me? So that's what it stemmed from. He's not a faithful person, so I wasn't going to be faithful to a non-faithful person. It just doesn't work that way. Not for me anyway.
Can you tell us just broadly, I know it's probably painful to relive this situation, but can you tell us generally what happened that day?
It was fighting, and usually we fought on the phone and not in person. So it was the biggest argument that we ever got in. And he was controlling, he was domineering, he was manhandling me beforehand, and he wanted to have sex, and I told him no. I told him no, because you gave it to somebody else. I didn't only tell him no, I told him why. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. So he overpowered me, put me to my knees, put his penis in my mouth. And after he got enough of that, he put me on the bed. And, this was all a struggle. So I had said no. And I said no, even though I was thinking that. And so it was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard. I remember he got dressed and he knew what he did. And so, I just kind of escorted him out the door. And then I wasn't going to do anything about it. Sometimes when you're with the person for a long time, it's hard for you to realize that they're being the perpetrator, even though you know it, you don't want to admit it, and there's so much going through your mind. But then he started coming at me if I tell anybody, he'll use everybody he knows to destroy me, which he basically has. And then he started making other threats against my life, threats, he just was so worried that it would get out, and I wasn't going to do anything. But when he kept calling me at work, and when he kept, just very aggressively behaving, and I could see it wasn't going to go away, and he said he was going to destroy me, and he was going to kill me, and he told me he was watching me, and all that. I just went and got a protective order. I'd had enough. And unfortunately, shortly after, he doxed me, and my address got out. And I had somebody stop by my apartment, which had a door that led right to the side. It was basically on the sidewalk. And somebody came up to my door and said, "Shut up," and screamed it at the top of their lungs. And I had my daughter in there right there. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. And so I went in and I dropped it, because also at my house, not my apartment, my house, at my house, somebody came to my house and sat out front of in the driveway while my daughter was there alone. Someone came to my house, someone came to my apartment, and after my daughter called me, that's when I went straight there.
So after you rescinded the restraining order, was there any other weird stuff, or did it kind of just die down?
It died down. I tried to move on with my life. We may have talked, I think, once or twice. But then he started going on television. He came to my job, Turner Broadcasting, went on TV at CNN, and it was my job to put the videos from up to YouTube for CNN. That was part of my job. So I'm putting up this video, and here I see Shannon at my job talking about domestic violence, and the co-host mentioned that, oh, you had one that was just totally dropped, made it look like the police dropped it, not that I had gone down and withdrawn it. It created a picture that wasn't accurate. And that was a very hostile work environment.
I'm going to ask something that might be a little sensitive or might sound insensitive, I should say. But I'm going to go ahead and ask it because it's a question that I'm sure people are wondering. Why didn't you file a police report when he raped you?
Because I was scared for my life. He said he would use it. Everybody he knows, and he knows lots of police officers. So I didn't know that if I went down there, that would be one of the people that he knows. Atlanta has a problem with corruption down there. And I was too scared to go to the police. Because when this happens, you're in a trauma mindset. You're not in a, every day you and I are talking here like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should do that. No, you're like fear for your life. You're traumatized. You're not thinking straight. You're having anxiety and panic attacks. And I was worried that he would, get a hold of this police officer, and who knows what would happen. And so it was just a decision, and it's a decision a lot of rape victims make, to not go to the police. They always say the woman is crazy. Hey, I might be at this point after everything I've dealt with. But back then, no. Definitely not crazy. And to see him paint me the way that he did, first off, I'm not somebody crawling out of the woodwork to talk about my connection with him like he insinuated in his statement. I've been out. I've been suing him.
What's your message to his latest accuser, who's been doxing? What would you say to her if you can send a message to her?
I pray for you. I have been there. I've been dealing with this for 15 years.
This is what happens when you're playing with God and you're using His name in vain and you're blaspheming God. Now, this is not. I feel that this is not the end of Shannon Sharpe's career, but the next steps that he makes will be extremely important. Will he continue to veer away from God as much as possible? Or will he use this situation or these situations as a teaching tool and a mechanism to grow closer to God and to truly get his life and his act together. Throwing the name of God around is very dangerous, and Tony Gaskins talked about this on one of his videos recently. It's very dangerous for us to proclaim God. Now, a lot of people throw the word God around, and the majority of people are not talking about Jesus Christ when they're referencing God. So we have to be very careful of following someone and saying that this person is a true follower of Jesus Christ when he or she throws around the word of God. And again, on all of these videos that I make, I am not one to constantly bash someone. I don't care if they're a believer or not, because I have to work out my salvation with fear and trembling. Every single day, every single second, there's something that I'm doing wrong. My thoughts may not be in the right place. My actions, my words to my wife and my kids may not be in the right place, biblically speaking, from a righteous perspective. So I don't want any smoke, because the responsibilities that I have inside of my house are endless, and God knows the amount of mistakes that I make on a daily basis. So I pray for everyone out there, and please pray for me. But a man has to decide which path he's going to take. A man has to decide if he is man enough and strong enough to only be with one woman. And if said man does not prescribe to the ways of God, and he prescribes to the ways of this world, there will be consequences that he cannot run from or escape. So I want all of you guys to be mindful of the platforms that these people have and the blessings, quote unquote, that you feel they have. Because although a person may be worth millions, multi-millions of dollars, and he or she has a huge platform and millions of followers, what profits a man to gain the entire world yet lose his soul? Eternity and your soul and your spirit will outlast any blessings, worldly blessings, on this side of heaven. What we obtain on this side of heaven that's not in line with the Word of God is just going to wither away. It's only temporary and it will not last. So let's be mindful of the blessings that we have. And let's not forget about who those blessings come from. And humility is the key. If a man is not humble, if pride has washed away his countenance and his true relationship with Jesus Christ, the devil will chew him up and spit him out and laugh in his face. And all of the man's followers and subscribers will eventually dwindle away and vanish. I'm speaking in general terms here, not so much so on what has happened to Shannon, but this is a microcosm of what can happen when a man chooses not to put God first in his lifestyle. So again, let me know what you all think of this. We'll talk soon. God bless.